We have a new pattern when it comes to WWE, my friends. You have the music that hits, the Joe Tessitore tells you the deal, you then give it a beat, everyone goes silent, and out comes heel John Cena. We also saw DIY walking in the back, and Tommaso Ciampa has shaved his beard. Tell you, at first I thought aliens were going to attack. Actually, it looks pretty damn good. Otherwise, hello my pals and welcome to Ups and Downs for WWE SmackDown. And you could call it the SmackDown after WrestleMania, but WrestleMania now feels like it happened 47 years ago. However, as we did say over that weekend, please go and make a bunch of noise on social media, because I, Simon Miller, also wrestle in my real life, for lack of a better term, and we are going to try and manifest me appearing in a major USA promotion in the next 12 months. That does not happen without a lot of noise. So if you would like to support me, please do. And if not, you can just say, screw you, Simon, in the comments. Sound good? Great. Let's up those downs. So amazingly, I seem to be in the minority here. Or maybe just a lot of people are being quite loud. But I really like bad guy John Cena. He entertains me. He got Mark Nash to do his big introduction again. When, of course, the fans went, let's go Cena, and Cena sucks. So actually, John Cena becoming the villain has basically mean we've gone into a DeLorean and we've returned to 2014. John didn't get to say anything though because Randy Orton's music hit and he came up. And this was pretty cool, seeing these two guys in the ring again. And Randy said, do you know, Mr. John Cena, it's been 25 years since we first shook hands. I was like, Randy, that's really weird. It now makes it sound like you document the first time you do shake somebody's hand. I mean, whatever gets you out of bed in the morning. What I like most about Cena, though, is that he has always been Mr. Hustle, loyalty, respect, and that wasn't a character, that wasn't a gimmick. He meant that, but obviously recently, times have changed. It also makes Randy really sad because think of all the people, all the children you have inspired, and also let's look at your Make-A-Wish record. You can't tell me, Mr. John Cena, that hasn't affected you. I bet it has. Meant that Randy had sat down and done the maths, and he has figured it out. He understands that John now has a void in his life, and that void could be filled if he had a kid of his own. I tell you, I could have sat here and guessed it for a million years, and I would never have come up with that one. His point was when you do become a father, you find the best version of yourself. And Cena didn't like this at all. He was like, how dare you talk to me that way? And also the reason I've never had a kid of my own is because for the last 25 years, I've been raising all of yours. Now listen, he looked at the audience when he said this, saying, I have brought up your kids. But it's way funnier if you think he was talking directly to Randy Orton. Like, listen, you absolute moron. Do you know where your kids would be without me? Nowhere. The point is, he has been the best dad to all of these stupid children when he looked out into the audience and apparently a kid was flipping him off. I was like, way to prove his point. So essentially, John has been policing brats like this for the last quarter of a century, and all their dads are losers. I was like, man, he must have gone around and talked to every single one. Orton then tried to weigh in that the reason Cena has had such success, even in Hollywood, is because of the fans. And look at somebody like Randy Orton. He is so happy he was able to overcome his demons, and now he's respected by everybody in the locker room. He's kind of part of the furniture in WWE now, whereas Cena, he's basically turned into a guest. John also admitted he used to feel this way in the sense that him and the fans could coexist, but now he's had a change of heart, and nobody is winning apart from him, because all these guys are losers. We're also a bunch of hypocrites, as the dueling chants did start, which kind of proved his point, because as soon as we're done with one superstar, we just move on to the next. So you want to talk about loyalty? Pfft, there is none. He carried on by saying that the audience manipulated the truth, when he just found a random guy in the crowd and said they looked like Jack Black. Once again, I'm a very big fan of John Cena being a bad guy. He finished by saying he has been labelled an outcast just for trying something different, which actually isn't true. This is when Randy Orton was just beside himself. He was like, oh man, I should have known coming out here and talking to you wouldn't have made a blind bit of difference. He then started speaking about how he is part of a wrestling royal family and that wrestling has always provided for his family, even when he is buried 6 feet under. When John Cena just cut him off, he went, shut up. Like, where'd that come from? Basically, though, Cena wanted to remind Orton that he is a 14-time world champion, whereas Cena is a 17-time world champion. So when he does finally go home and he takes this championship, not only are you never going to get to 1-7 yourself, but essentially your record resets to 0. Now, I don't think it works that way, but again, John Cena has become a massive dickhead. He went too far, though, because he said this also means he's going to erase the Randy Orton name and legacy. Kind of sounds like he's going to murder them. And Orton was so pissed off by this point, he was like, I want a title shot right now. Of course, John Cena didn't agree with that, but you know what? We can do it at St. Louis at Backlash, because that is your hometown, so you can say hello and I love you to all your family before John Cena finishes him off for good. He'll also have no excuses when that does happen, when he just threw the belt at Randy Orton. And listen, there is no way that Randy Orton is going to become the champion at that PLE. So when John tried to smack him with the championship again, he ducked, he hit the RKO, then he did that wiggly jiggly thing. Now yes, this went on for half my life, but it was just so fascinating to see Randy Orton and John Cena in a ring again, especially because both the roles have been reversed. This is why in wrestling, you do never say never. Think of literally any scenario in your head, eventually wrestling's gonna give it to you. So it was just a delight really, especially if it hit your nostalgia gland. And maybe the match is good, and maybe the match isn't good, but who the fluff cares? Sometimes I do just want to see two big superstars in a ring. It ticked that box up. When we did indeed get a video package for Fraxiom, they've been called up from NXT. Alright, they were facing Los Garza too, so you know the deal here. They got a little bit of time, they're allowed to go super duper whooper crazy, and if you weren't into them before, well you're probably into them now. They were hitting double dives because it is 2025 when eventually Angel Hell opened the ropes. That meant Axiom fell to the outside, and instantly the bad guys were in control. You're not going to believe this. Eventually Axiom was able to fight back. He got the hot tag to Nathan Frazer, and if you want to talk about good, going crazy, wild hot tags, you've got to give it to Nate. The Garzas even hit their finish at one point, and there was a great 1-2-ooh, because it was broken up at the last minute, when Axiom, was able to hit the Spanish fly as Nathan came off the top rope with the Phoenix Splash. 1, 2, 3. It was just damn good. Let's get them right into the tag team division and give that thing some extra depth and build some stories. It's getting it up. You should watch this today. Tiffany Stratton was then out next, and it does kind of feel like we've moved her away from Charlotte Flair. All things considered, that's probably for the best. She was also super duper happy that she had beaten Charlotte at WrestleMania, because at some point she did doubt herself. And listen, everybody that has been saying, you are the next Charlotte Flair. No, she's not. She's the first Tiffany Stratton. And I bet if I was a loser and I went back through every single sentence that had ever been said in pro wrestling, that one would be right up there. Of all the people Jade Cargill interrupted, so it was a bit like, is she gonna go heel here? And not really, she's just like, man, I am gonna give you your flowers, because you did great at WrestleMania, but given that I'm now done with Naomi, I'm coming after you. Now Stratton was absolutely fine with this, and the match just begun. Like, I don't think the championship was on the line, but it was a bit like, where'd that come from? The bell then rang and we sort of played it like they were good guys, although Tiffany Stratton wanted to go for a handshake, and instead Cargill whipped her into the ropes. I felt sorry for Randy Orton here. He was probably in the back with his handshake book, and he wasn't able to update it. From there, the absolute best part is when I think Tiffany was going for her Alabama Slam, and Jade Cargill caught her out of midair and powerbombed her ass. That was absolutely brilliant. And I will say this, some of it was a bit wibbly-jibbly, but Tiffany Stratton seems to be making this her MO, and all of her matches now feel like real fights. Like even when she went for the PME, she slipped a little bit, and even Wade Barrett was like, well, that doesn't happen very often, but I tell you, man, she made it work. Eventually, they hit this really cool superplex thing, which is when, of course, Naomi ran out to whip the ship out of Jade Cargill. Disqualification. WWE is absolutely obsessed with this. We'll talk about it later. Given that Naomi is my new favorite, though, I had no problem with this. She grabbed Jade and threw her into the ring post over and over again. When Tiffany Stratton got in the ring, and she started looking around, and of all the people, she got bumped by Nia Jax. She made sure she squashed her too before she hit her with the Annihilator. And listen, later on, Nia Jax and Naomi bumped into each other, and they were kind of friends, but kind of enemies. And it sort of felt like maybe we're going to do a tag match or maybe a bit of a four-way, but that would be exactly the same thing that we're going to do with the US title, and we'll talk about that later too. I also don't really know how you do Naomi versus Jade Cargill round 2, given that Naomi did get beaten, but again, she is one of my new favorites, so whatever we've got to do. So here is the deal. I am going to give it up for the match, because even though it was all over the place, I was sports entertained, and I am intrigued by the direction, but I also do have to give it a little bit of a down, just because Tiffany Stratton and Nia Jax were joined at the hip for most of 2024, and it just feels way too soon to go back to it. But at least a lot of people are involved in this. We have to wait and see. And speaking of all that United States title madness, here we go. Because Jacob Fatu walked out with Solo Sikoa, you know the deal with Solo. He was like, oh man, without me, Jacob Fatu would never be the US champion. I mean, the family wanted nothing to do with him, and who changed their minds? Me. Solo. He took credit so much, eventually Jacob snatched the microphone away from him. I was like, you didn't do anything, you absolute idiot. I told you I was going to win this belt, and look, dun dun dun, I've done it. He also dropped that line, you better get in where you fit in. Honestly, this guy is so damn good, and if he's not a world champion with a couple of years, well, something has gone wrong. LA Knight must have been waiting for the opportunity of these two guys to fall out, because he then stormed to the ring. He was like, listen, I had you beat, but you grabbed the ropes at WrestleMania, and good for you, because you did beat me fair and square, but I'm a wrestler and I want a rematch. Now, Drew McIntyre also must have been backstage, and he must have told the production guy, listen, press play on my music if LA Knight does ask for another match. That's what happened, and out came Drew. Now, he thanked Damian Priest for allowing him to embarrass him in front of his family, which is a flubbed up thing to say, when he looked at the ring and was like, listen, I thought I'd be going after John Cena, but I can't because Randy Orton stuck in there first, because this company is Nepo Entertainment Wrestling. Drew is the best. Instead, McIntyre has decided he wants to fight the toughest dog in the yard when LA Knight told him to shut up. So McIntyre was like, oh, right, you want to tell jokes, do you? Well, the biggest joke is your latest US title run. LA then snapped back, well, I can't even remember your last championship because it was over so soon. And of course, these two got into it, and they're about to fight, when Nick Aldis walked out and said, well, you can fight, but you can fight later. That's like, Nick, just let them do it now. That's going to be a number one contender match too, and you can guess the finish already. At the same time that all these guys being involved in the United States title picture is only going to help that belt. I mean, a bunch of them could be main eventers, and you just know that Solo Sikoa is going to turn on Jacob soon. So I like all of this, especially because they can all cut a good promo. Giving it up. Zelina Vega then told Byron Saxton she was going to win the Women's US Championship. I thought she was lying. Turns out she wasn't. Because we went right into her versus Chelsea Green, and of course her secret Hervis were interfering straight away. But the problem was, before long they were tripping Zelina Vega, and they were yelling at Zelina Vega, and they were being mean to Zelina Vega, and after a little while the referee caught them and said, you know what, you have to go to the back. I was like, well, that is interesting. Now, I assumed Chelsea Green would hit the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment after the distraction and got the 1, 2, 3. But instead, she threw Zelina into the ropes, who hit the code red, and you won't believe this, because I certainly didn't. I didn't expect it at all. She got the uno, dos, tres. We have a brand new champion. Now, if anybody does deserve this, it is Zelina Vega, because my gosh, has she worked tirelessly over the last few years, or the last 5 to 6 years, really. So I am going to give it an up. I do have to be that guy. This felt so out of nowhere. We could have built this story so much better. I just find it mad that we did introduce the Women's US title, and we didn't even hint that it could be on WrestleMania. As far as I'm concerned, that is a mistake. That is a little bit of a down. But in terms of feeling warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum, again, awesome for Zelina. She has been working her butt off for ages. When we got a very weird segment. Because the Miz was super happy that Carmelo Hayes had won the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal last week. Because 1, he had sacrificed himself for the greater good. But also 2, he had made Carmelo a necklace. And I think it had like a giant picture of Andrade on it. I was like, why the hell would anybody want that unless you're Andrade? Melo was super happy about this though, and he's going to use it as a launching pad. But if we do go back to Carmelo Hayes versus Andrade, like we know it's going to be good, but only because we've seen it 4,692 times. So both dudes kind of feel like they're in no man's land at the moment when The Miz did walk to the ring, and he was super upset because he wasn't on WrestleMania. And of course, he talked about main eventing at 27 when he beat John Cena. So he made a good point. He was like, was Cody Rhodes able to do that? No, he was not. He also took shots at Joe Hendry for taking the Randy Orton challenge when all of a sudden the lights went off and we all knew what this was going to be. It has been teased. And I did the dance of joy because the OG entrance theme is back too. Alistair Black has returned. He got a nice ovation as he walked to the ring, and of course he just booted The Miz right in the face with the Black Mass. They're going to have a match next week. I'm sure Alistair Black will win, and then we can see what's next. It's like Rusev, that happened on Raw. He would probably take out Otis or Tozawa before he gets into his proper feud. But I like a big return, especially when I have feelings based on the past, whatever that means. This worked fine for me. Byron was then chatting to Bianca Belair, and she did confirm she broke 2 fingers at WrestleMania. Sheesh. She is still super proud of her performance when she took shots at Rhea Ripley and essentially said, when I am 100%, I am coming after you. And I like that. I need more of them in my life. They just work so well together. This is when we got to Drew McIntyre versus LA Knight. And listen, up to a certain point, they had a very good match, although they weren't posing too much. And you know my opinions on posing. Usually it means you're going to get smacked from behind. Drew eventually hit a brainbuster for a 1-2 when he just beat on this guy for a while. But you know the deal with LA Knight. He was able to fight back. He hit his his elbow, when he took McIntyre's head and he just smashed it into Iron in Out table for a while. And if you can, you should. Thing is, though, before he was able to get back into the ring, Solo Sikoa appeared, and he spiked LA Knight. And look, Drew McIntyre saw all of this, and he pretended he was like, oh, I don't know what to do. When, of course, he set up for the Claymore, because he is the world's biggest hypocrite. This is when he got totally out of control, because Damian Priest pulled Drew out of the ring, and he smacked him so hard, the ref was like, I'm watching. Do you know that I'm here? Disqualification. They got totally out of control, because not only did Damian throw Drew McIntyre through Alan the announce table, but Jacob Fatu then turned up because Damian and LA Knight were looking at each other, because he was super serious, and man, he destroyed everyone. I mean, he quite literally hit every single one of his moves. It also meant he could pose there with the belt, so once again, I think we are going to do a four-way. I just thought this was excellent stuff. It was like a roller coaster, so I shall give it an up, but you can see this coming. To have 2 disqualifications on the same show when an old WrestleMania rival ran to the ring, that's just a little bit lame. Like, you can be way more creative than that. So it gets it down. But in terms of the future, Drew, LA Knight, Damian Priest, and Jacob Fatu, plus Solo Sikoa, sign me up. When in the back, John Cena finally bumped into R-Truth. This meant something to me. He backed John to the hills and said, listen, call me if you need me, and I need that storyline. When Jimmy Uso walked in, he was like, why are you talking to that guy? He is bad news. Now, R-Truth wanted to make it clear that there are 2 sides to every story, and when he grows up, he wants to be a champion, just like John Cena. Now, actually, it was Jimbo who won this segment, because as Truth walked off, he just shouted, but you are a grown-up. I don't know why that was funny. When we learned something that we already knew deep down in our Tootsie Toes, the SmackDown TLC title match absolutely should have been on WrestleMania. This was the highlight of the night. It was also the Street Profits versus DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns, and almost instantly the Machine Guns were drop-kicking ladders right into No Beard Ciampa. He's had a bad week. Chris Sabin also dived into a chair when Alex Shelley was doing dragon screw leg whips off a ladder onto Angelo Dawkins, and it just went you go, I go, then you hit me. But at one point, Alex had a chair wrapped around his head, and somebody else got another chair, they just smacked him with it. Montez took a damn ladder to the skull, and Johnny Gargano was hitting flatliners out of midair. I mean, that must have hurt everyone. The blockbuster that Montez Ford landed as well was absolutely insane, and he got so pumped up about that, he got a fan's prosthetic leg and he used it as a weapon. So I then thought to myself, oh my gosh, this match has quite literally had everything. The skull and bones that Sabin and Shelley hit through a table as well was absolutely nuts and probably should have been the finish, but it got broken up. When Dawkins decided he was going to outdo everyone, because Tommaso Ciampa was hanging from the belts in midair, and he hit this spear through a table. Now listen, it was not smooth at all, and it was really messy, but that added to the impact. It kind of made it feel like it was real, and I thought everyone was dead. Johnny G also made the best stop just as Montez Ford was going to get the belt, but all of a sudden Chris Sabin ran up there too. When Ford was like, okay, well, you're on one side and you're on the other side, why don't I climb up the side of the ladder? I'm sure that has been done before, but I haven't seen it. He used their heads against the steel. They fell to the floor, and Montez grabbed the championships, meaning the Street Profits are still the tag team title holders. Whoop-de-doo, let's have some fun. Honestly, the fans went crazy for this. I have not done it justice. You need to go and watch it today. To the point, especially because they deserve something, given they did miss WrestleMania. It doesn't just get an up, it gets a golden up. This was properly faboo. I liked it a lot. If we are now going to do the Street Profits versus Fraxiom, well, the tag team title scene is in pretty good shape. It also meant the SmackDown after WrestleMania was really good. Like, there were a few things I didn't like, but they were just pet peeves. I do like the fact we can see where we're headed in multiple directions. So if you do have a few hours today, you should watch it. Although, you know my deal. I'm looking forward to when SmackDown goes back to 2 hours. It's just a better show. But up. Now, of course, please do leave me a comment below and let me know what you thought about SmackDown. Like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Click the video on the screen for my ups and downs for the Raw after WrestleMania. Now we can draw a line under it. WrestleMania is done, and I get to sleep. I love you, my friends. Goodbye.